As Pat teased on Tuesday, we have a very special guest for the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Penguins podcast with new Penguins in-game arena host Jayden Becker, and that's coming up right after this.
You're Locked On Penguins, your daily podcast on the Pittsburgh Penguins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Hunter Hodes. You can follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes, joined by my co-host Patrick Amp. You can follow him on Twitter at Syndrome for Wet, and you can follow the show's Twitter at LO_Penguins. Of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen/watch of the day. We are free and available on all platforms. So, Pat, you and I have been teasing this ever since we were talking to Jayden earlier this week, and we have him, first-time guest on the Locked On Penguins podcast, Penguins' new in-game arena host. Jayden, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on today's episode, especially because, the team's off for the next, 6 days still. So it's great that we're able to have you on and talk about your first season here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, perfect time to talk about like January and February where it was kind of like light on home games, especially now we're going into this All-Star break. So I figured great time to talk to you guys. You guys do a fantastic job on Locked On Penguins, so I'm super excited.
Yeah, man, we're really excited to have you here. We were talking right before we hit record. For a long time at PPG Paints Arena and Consol Energy Center, people kind of knew that when they came into games, it was going to be Selena Pompiani on the mic for the in-arena host. And, with life happening, she's just welcomed her first child. She stepped away from duties and in comes you. So we just want to get, your first reactions to being in Pittsburgh, being with the Penguins, and, what's your experience been like being the in-arena host for a team like the Pittsburgh Penguins?
I absolutely love Pittsburgh. There's something about this city. I moved here from Queens, New York. I was born and raised there, went to college in upstate New York in Ithaca College. And now I'm here in Pittsburgh with the Pens. And honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. I know this fan base is first class. I know this organization is first class. And so coming in, I wanted to do justice and service by that. And I also wanted to execute on what the mission was. And the mission is for this season is fun first, fans first, put them in the forefront. The hockey is always going to be there. Obviously, you have superstars on the ice, but we want to highlight the superstars that are in the stands, and those are the fans. And so if you notice this year, obviously we have the giant mega center hang, and we're showing the fans as much as humanly possible. We're trying to get them rowdy. We're trying to get them crazy and give them the opportunity to cheer for more than, let's just say, the hockey. We're trying to get them to cheer for all the fun stuff that we have going on in the building. But Pittsburgh, it's special, man. There's a certain culture that comes along with Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh's in such an interesting part of the country where I wouldn't call it a coastal city, but I wouldn't call it a part of the Midwest. I also wouldn't call it. It's very unique. It's almost like this melting pot of cultures from a bunch of different parts of Northern America. So it's very exciting to be a part of this. Coming to Pittsburgh, all I really knew here was about Pittsburgh was the Steelers, the Terrible Towel, the Penguins. They win a lot of championships, and they have Sidney Crosby. And then along with that, the fan base is rowdy. But I did my research coming into PPG Paints Arena, making sure I knew. I was up to snuff, if you will. I make sure I knew my history before I grabbed that microphone.
Yeah, I've always said about Pittsburgh, I think it's a perfectly kept secret from a lot of people, to be honest. And once you come here, I think a lot of people just fall in love with it. But Jayden, when you first heard about the gig, just what had you so interested in it?
What had me interested in it was the idea of being in front of 18,000. This isn't my first time doing a hosting gig. I was the host of the Bridgeport Islanders. I was the host of the Syracuse Mets. Prior to that, I was doing Frontier League stuff with the Sussex County Miners. I hosted with the Jersey Shore Blue Claws. I ran my way through Ithaca College doing a ton of broadcasting work. And personally, I graduated in May of college. So I either was going to go into news or I was going to go into entertainment. And I'd rather do this fun entertainment stuff than cover crime and gas prices. So I figured that the entertainment stuff and also that's where I also feel my personality best fits. You guys see me out there and I'm having a good time. And for me, it's not work. This is fun. I'm getting to have a good time with the fans. But Pittsburgh specifically, the mindset behind it was to integrate within a new market, have some fun with the fans, and then also be a part of as I mentioned, a first-class organization. This isn't an organization that messes around. This is also an organization that's looking for new ideas and fun stuff to do throughout the game. So all of it checked every single box from top to bottom of what this place has to offer and what the fans have to offer as well.
Yeah, and you brought up being in Bridgeport. I've had my stops in minor league hockey. I did some time like it was bad. I loved it with all my heart, but I was in the ECHL with the AA affiliate, the Wheeling Nailers, and then I moved on to the Utica Comets of the AHL. And so you've cut your teeth there, and also with the Syracuse Mets and doing some in-arena hosting at that minor league level. What to you is kind of like the bigger differences from kind of making that step up? Because I know that when you're in the minor leagues, I say this about it all the time, you rarely have one job. You're doing 3 or 4 different things because it's not the pros. It's a local town that's not that big and everybody's got to do their part. So to you, coming in from doing those jobs in Syracuse, in Bridgeport, and now you come to Pittsburgh, what have you noticed are like the major differences now that you're doing this in arena hosting for, like you said, 18,000 people inside a gigantic arena?
Well, the funny answer is I'm not bagging trash. It's not after the game. I don't put my microphone down, take off my nice hoodie, and then bag up the trash that's there, because they need help with the cleaning crew. It's different here. The big difference, and specifically in Pittsburgh, is that they expect greatness. They expect you to be great. They expect you to be fun. They expect you to be energetic, but they also expect you to be a part of Pittsburgh. They expect you to be bleeding black and gold. And maybe in the minor leagues, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more geared towards family fun on a weekend or just a random night out. It's a lot less risk in minor league. With Bridgeport, we could kind of get away with doing whatever we want. Same thing in Syracuse. You can get away with doing whatever you want because the sponsorship money is different. The activation numbers are different. The partnership numbers are different. Their goals are different as well. That their focus isn't really on the sport as it is on the fan experience. In the NHL and in the NBA and in the higher levels of sport, the focus is not only on the focus usually is on what's going on in the field of play or on the court or on the ice, but now also on what's going on in the stands, given the trend of social medias and the fan interaction that you see on Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. They want everything to be holistic. So without trying to get too deep into like the minutia of like my mindset behind game entertainment, I think the biggest difference, especially in Pittsburgh, is they expect the greatness, and that helps me because I want to be great. I want to be on that level that they expect me to be. So I think that's the big difference, is that every hit matters, every moment matters, and I try to treat it as such.
And you obviously do quite a bit of different, hits throughout the games in the stands and all that. Which one, if you had to pick, is your favorite? Because I know you do a whole bunch of different ones, but do you have a favorite during each home game?
I know what mine is, and I know.
Let me hear yours. Yeah,
it's the t-shirt bazooka, man. That thing, like I was there Friday.
Man. That thing goes far.
I was there Friday with a friend of mine for the game against the Panthers, and it was his first game this season. And I was like, check this thing out. And he just was like, oh my God.
and what's so great, I think I agree with you. It is the bazooka blast. It's a spectacle. It's not something that you see at every game. You go to another team and you'll see the trivia, you'll see the on-screen activations, but when we can do something special that's live and that gets the entire crowd involved, and we're just launching t-shirts at you that are flying up 100 feet into the air, everyone has the opportunity to grab one, and the fans kind of come alive for that. They kind of get unglued, which I think it's perfect timing. We usually do that right at the start of the second period. And it just gets the crowd right back into the game. It gets a few fans to go home with some great prizes and some few Let's Go Pen t-shirts. Another thing that I really love that if you get there early enough, you see is our hockey night in Pittsburgh. It's our iteration of play ball, or our iteration of gentlemen start your engines. For us, it's a hockey night in Pittsburgh, and now it has evolved into something so much more than just getting a season ticket holder or getting a kid to do it. Now we're getting celebrities in the building. We got Cam Hayward. He did it one game. We had Trache do it to start the season. We had Kunitz, we had Adams, we had John Geiger most recently on Pittsburgh night, like a big local fashion designer. So like we're getting some big names in the building to do this hockey night in Pittsburgh. And like you never know who it's going to be next. Like we have some stuff lined up, but I can't say. But we have some stuff lined up that's pretty exciting throughout the rest of the season. And it's like you just never know what to expect when you come to PPG. It's like, oh my gosh, they're here and they're doing it's a hockey night in Pittsburgh. It not only does it set the tone for the fans, but it sets the tone for the players. It gets everyone ready for a hockey, without lack of a better term, a hockey night in Pittsburgh. And when we have celebrities do it, it really adds takes it to a whole other level.
Yeah, and one thing that I wanted to ask you, because you kind of said like you don't want to get too into the minutia. like I said, like I told you, I was I spent time with the Nailers and then the Comets in the AHL. A lot of my friends and coworkers that I had there were in game operations, which is what you would fall under as the in-arena host. And I remember speaking about the ECHL or the AHL, when it's an arena that holds 3,000 to 5,000 at most. Video board isn't as big, the sponsorship deals aren't as big, but they still had like a 30, 40, 50 page thick long binder of like this is how the game is going to go. So for a lot of people who haven't worked in professional sports, you don't have, like I said, you don't have to get into the big long minutia, but like what does a game day look like for you when you show up at PPG Paints Arena on a game night?
That's a fantastic question. So along with my role as being the in-arena host, I'm also working with the Icebreakers. I'm building out their schedule and seeing what they do for the day. So I put them in different sections throughout the building to make sure that everyone's involved in the love of game entertainment. And then along with that comes the hosting stuff. And so in the beginning, a lot of it was learning about what exactly are our big moments, what exactly are our big sponsors, what exactly is all that. And that's prior to the season starting. And then once the season started getting into form, it's kind of gaining a rhythm, not only with yourself on the microphone, but with everyone that's up in that control room. You go up into like level 7, which is like restricted off for media, but up there is our control room. And there we have all of our fantastic men and women that work behind the scenes, and then getting to learn to work with them and how and whose role is which and who operates. And then now at this point in the season, a lot of it is coming into form from a game presentation standpoint. Especially for me, being on air, you notice that when I go out there, I don't have nothing in my hand. I don't have a piece of paper. I don't have a prompter. Everything's all up in the noggin. And so that's me an hour before puck drop, going through all the pregame reads, all the lines that they want said, all for marketing purposes and stuff like that. And then, but honestly, going into the actual game itself, as long as I'm hitting the activation partners, then we're good. It's like Sobe Promo, Bazooka Blast, or the Ford Truck, whatever it may be. As long as I'm hitting those, I can kind of ad-lib it out. And I try to keep it short. I try to keep it sweet. I try to make it energetic. I try to make it, over the top, because I feel like that's what this job deserves. An over the top personality. But then again, at the same time, I try not to blow everybody up in the building. So it's a balancing act. You're trying to walk that razor's edge. And sometimes we go over, sometimes we go under, but it's all part of the fun for me. And a lot, what keeps me going throughout all this is really the fans. I do all of this because of the fans. They pay their hard-earned money to come to this building, and whether it's for the hockey, whether it's for the fun, we're going to try and find something for them that they're going to leave with a memory with. So hopefully it's either a t-shirt or hopefully it's just something funny that they saw on the screen. So if we can do that and they can leave happy with a smile on their face no matter the score, that means we're doing our job.
And part of the prep, I think, was going to be my next question, Jayden, just how much prep work goes into the game at home every day? Because, you even said you don't have a piece of paper, you have it all in here. So just what kind of goes into the prep for each home game throughout the year? Like, I guess throughout each day, I guess.
It's a little bit easier in hockey because in baseball, it's a little bit tougher because games are back to back to back and they're all stacked up. In this, it's a little bit more spaced out. So our next game is February 6th. We're starting to build our rundowns out for that game now to see exactly what that's going to look like, where everything is going to fit. That's a special activation day. So there's going to be special things that are going to be inserted throughout the game, whether that's through partnership, whether that's through DEI, whether, through different aspects of this organization. A few things will be inserted into the game presentation. And so every game's a little bit different than the last. So you kind of have to go through all your notes every single time just to make sure that all your ducks are in a row and you know all your lines. But honestly, it's me sitting at my desk and I'll read through my paper 3-4 times, say it out loud, say it out loud, say it out loud. And then take a break, go eat dinner, and then come back, read it over one more time, make sure nothing changed, check my email, make sure I didn't get anything last second. And then we go out there, make sure I got nothing in my teeth from dinner. And then we go out there, that's usually the role. And what's great about live is that no one really knows what's supposed to happen. We know what's supposed to happen, but the fans, they don't know what's supposed to happen. So if I flub my line or if I come in, a few seconds too late, whatever it may be, the fans don't know, but we know upstairs. But that's what makes it great.
Well, Jayden, this has been awesome so far, but we do have to take a quick break just to end this first segment. Coming up in the second segment, we're going to get to plenty more questions for you because we still have quite a few to get to. But before we get to that, we got to tell you all about Jase Medical. I know we come to sports to escape from some of the crazy realities of real life, but can we talk just for a minute about preparing for real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. This is scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if my girlfriend got sick while a supply chain issue kept them from the life-saving medication they needed. Thankfully, we'll be okay because of Jase Medical. The Jase case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to any of us. All you have to do is visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be more prepared than today. Go to jasemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off of your order. And we're not done. We still got to tell you all about FanDuel. Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some super fun bets. FanDuel has so many different ways for you to end the season with a W or 2 or 3. And not only can you bet on who will win the Super Bowl this year between the Chiefs or the 49ers, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. All you have to do is join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. All right, we're back here on this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I'm Hunter Hodes, joined by my co-host Patrick Damp with Jayden Becker, of course, the Penguins' new in-game arena host. And Pat, I know you had a question before we went to break just now, so I'm going to hand this over right to you.
Yeah, and keeping it on the train of, what you get to do on game nights and everything, we kind of asked, like, what's your favorite thing so far? But I wanted to know, what has kind of been your opinion or impression of just crowds at PPG Paints Arena? Because, I've noticed, I said it, way back in the day when the arena opened in the early 2010s, you had your early on corporate crowd because new arena, expensive tickets, all the sponsors are going to see it. All the businessmen are going to get their day in the arena. And now we're back into an era where, everyday fans are going, and the atmosphere in that arena for the last about 10 or so years has really picked up. So what have your impressions been of the arena on a game night and just Penguins fans in general?
Penguins fans, and I'm not just saying this just to say this, because, just to say about the Penguins, but I think they're some of the greatest fans in hockey. And what makes them special is night in, night out, week in, week out, they show their support. This building is packed. No matter what the team record is, no matter what they did the last game, this building is going to be packed. And I think it's almost a beautiful metaphor with PPG Paints Arena, like the building itself. There's a glass facade that overlooks downtown, and it's almost the idea of we have nothing to hide about it. Come in, like this is a welcoming environment. We want you in this building. And I completely get it. I remember back when I was a kid, I grew up in New York City. My grandma's job had tickets to Rangers games, and we would often look down the lower bowl and we see all the suits and stuff like that. But in PPG, I think it's different now, and I think we spend a lot of time up in the 200s, on the upper level, and we talk to fans up there, and they're having a good time and they're enjoying the new environment that we're giving them from a fan entertainment perspective. I often read online quotes and stuff like that of fans saying that Penguins fans don't cheer or something like that. Like that's a lie. Like I'm literally standing there every home game and they're cheering. They're also booing. Like they're completely invested and involved in the action that's going on the ice. Like they're completely all there for that. I think this new idea of fans first and this fun first entertainment mindset is more geared towards maybe the casual fan, the fan that maybe this is their first time being able to go to a hockey game at PPG Paints Arena, and maybe they don't know all the rules of hockey, and maybe they're not the biggest hockey fan, but they're a fan of fun and they're a fan of a good night out. And so maybe that's what we're trying to offer them. But Penguins fans, especially the diehards and the longtime season ticket holders, they can rock it if they want to, man. If they really want to, the PPG's roof could pop right off. So, another point on Penguins fans as well is I love when I go out and I be going to a bar or a restaurant or something like that, and I get tapped on the shoulders like, "You're that guy, right?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm that guy." I take a picture or a selfie or something like that, and there's no fear in Pittsburgh. Like they love interacting, they love talking. I love taking the time to talk to fans because that's what it's all about. It's like I'm not doing anything. I'm just getting myself a sandwich, and the fact that they would go out their way to say what's up to me, that means the world. So like in no other city, I think that would happen, but in Pittsburgh, that's what makes it special.
There have been some great crowds this year, and Pat and I have been there for definitely that Panthers game, Pat. I mean, that was probably one of the top crowds of the year with how into it the fans were. The officiating obviously was questionable to say the least, but everyone was into it at the end, especially with the 6-on-5 goal that Evgeny Malkin scored. I mean, we said it this week. It looked like Evgeny Malkin scored a goal in the Stanley Cup final in 2016 or 2017 with the way he celebrated. But going off that, with all the crowds you've been there so far, Jayden, what do you feel like has been the best home game that you've been at so far this season, if you could pick one? Great question. Here's a few for you. Okay, so we're going to go back to opening night, Chicago Blackhawks. To be there in the building, this was my first game. We did 3 preseason games, but, there's maybe 10,000 people there. A lot of it was kids. That was the initiative. But this is opening night. And on top of that, Connor Bedard's, rookie start. Everyone's talking about the rookie sensation, all that. For him to face off with Sid, that building was butts in seats, everyone watching that puck drop to start the game, and then just to take it in for a moment and to look around and to see everyone fully attentive. That was a beautiful thing, and I think that's something that's pretty special about Pittsburgh. That opening night vibe was great. Halloween, the night before Halloween, I want to say October 30th. I want to say it was the Ducks game. Very weird game to mention, right? But that crowd was strong. It was a Halloween night. We were dressing up in fancy costumes. I had 4 Ken outfits that night. That was my Halloween costume. That was a really strong one. We did a Halloween dance party on the Highmark stage where we usually see Haley and Potash and them do the pregame show. We moved that desk out and we pretty much did a dance party out there, and that was awesome to be able to dance with the fans, have a good time. They're all dressed up in costumes. It was great pictures, all stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. I would say Pittsburgh night
this most recent one on January 26th, I think was one of our best nights that we've executed from a game entertainment standpoint. Also just from the fans being willing to do it all. We did an incline race. We did a trolley race.
Those were awesome.
Yeah. That was brand new. That was the first time we've ever done that. And it just shows, like we're willing to take risks, like we're willing to do it all. So it's just to see what sticks. And we did it. The fans loved it. We had an awesome time. And, I could almost argue that every home game that we do is a special one because it's always a special moment. The upcoming February 18th, we all know what's coming. We have Yager in the house. We're putting up 68 into the rafters. And boy, if you don't have a ticket now, this is not me shilling, but if you don't have a ticket now, go run, please.
That was going to be my next question for you, Jayden, because that's one of the biggest nights of the season. He's a living legend, finally coming back to Pittsburgh. Can you give us a little tease as to what you guys have planned for that one? Just a little one.
I can't reveal too much. I don't want to get yelled at. But what I will say is make sure you're in the building early for the entire ceremony. There's surprises during the ceremony, and there's going to be surprises during the game as well. Not only is it going to be a history ride for everybody, but I love the uniqueness on how we're telling his story, the way that we're telling what Yager not only meant to the city of Pittsburgh, but also to the game of hockey. Be there and have your phones out ready to go because we have some surprises for you. I can't say too much. I would get a big slap on the wrist, but I implore you to be there 30 minutes before the ticket says to be there. If you're gonna any night to make sure that you're in PPG Paints Arena, it's that one.
You don't have to sell the two of us on Yager. Yeah. That's childhood hero to us. So there's no hard sell needed for Double J.
I should grow out the mullet, right? Maybe I should get a little flow going. I don't know.
That's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to bring a mullet wig in there just because of how he looked back in the 90s.
Just might. I have an outfit ready, so I've been trying to mix it up with the outfits every game. I got some old retro stuff like that. But there's a special one. Hint: if you watch that Penguins documentary, there's a special one that might find its way. I don't want to say too much, but
Pat, you watch that like 50 times a day, so I think you're gonna probably know what it is.
Listen, it's my comfort watch, man. Like if I'm doing stuff around the house and I just need background noise, it's there. I hear Mike Lang's voice and all the legends from the Penguins, and it fills me with comfort.
But I think that would do it for this second segment with Jayden. Coming up to end the show, Pat and I are going to go a little around the horn with some questions about hockey, but also some questions not about hockey. But before we get to that, we got to tell you all about Factor. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Forget frantic lunch preps and rush dinners. Factor's 2-minute meals are your secret weapon in the new year. Fuel up fast with restaurant quality meals, all delivered right to your door. Factor now offers loads of snack options like breakfast, smoothies, juices, snacks, and more to keep you going no matter what is on the schedule. It's everything you need for a week of flavorful, nutritious eats. In addition to ready-to-eat meals, they have cold-pressed juices, again, smoothies, energy bites, extra protein, veggie sides, and so much more. All you have to do is head to factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 and use code LockedOnNHL50 to get 50% off. That's code LockedOnNHL50 at factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 to get 50% off. All right, we're back here on this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I'm Hunter Hodes, joined by my co-host Patrick Damp. Our special guest today is Jayden Becker. Pat, I know you've had this question lined up for a while, so I'm going to let you just ask it right now to Jayden.
So wore it just for the purposes of this episode. I got the Bret Hart shirt on. Excellence of execution. Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. But Jayden, you and I have interacted a couple times on Twitter. I know you're a big wrestling guy. I'm just getting back into it. The movement brought me back in with LA Knight. He's become like one of my favorite wrestlers and characters on TV, but I know you're a big wrestling guy. Unfortunately, Penguins were at home on Saturday night, so you didn't get to watch the Rumble. I was sitting in this very chair watching the Penguins game and the Rumble on Saturday night. So my question for you is very simple. Does Cody Rhodes finish the story?
Yeah, Cody Rhodes will finish the story. Does it happen at this WrestleMania? Oh, now that's the big question. For me, him going against Seth would not finish the story for me. I love the promo that Rollins cut.
Oh, it was so
trying
good.
to convince Cody to face him at Mania. And often, I remember years past, it was the champion wouldn't want to be faced. Or, like they would be like, like pick the other guy, or there would be like a promo cut that would divert from that idea. But now it was like, face me. I want you to face me. And it's almost the idea of Rollins wanting to be in that main event of WrestleMania. But the title that Rhodes would have to win would have to be against Reigns, because not only would it be winning that title, but almost in a similar fashion of his father trying to beat Flair, or something like that. Like, if you're going to beat somebody, you're going to beat the top guy. And will it happen at this year's Mania? Yeah, I was ready for it to happen last year. But now that they've gone this whole way with Reigns, I wouldn't say scared, but it's like they have this pretty big opportunity to set the new quote unquote record of longest title reign ever. And it could happen. The idea of having Reigns go all the way to I think it's 2028 or something like that. Crazy. With that belt, it's almost mind boggling. And I almost can't even swallow it. But the opportunity's on the table there. So I think he will finish his story. I think he will win at Mania. The momentum for him is this way. And then Reigns, compared to where he was going into Mania last year, is kind of on the downturn. I wasn't too keen on the four-way match that they had at the Rumble. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything for me because it's a match that we've seen in the past. Solo, going and interfering and everything like that. So I love Roman. I think he did great. He's doing great, but I think it's Cody's time to be the quarterback of
man.
endeavor.
You brought up that promo with Rollins, and I remember I watched it yesterday because I had to go play my beer league hockey on Monday night, so I missed Raw. But I just remember I was like the crowd in Tampa with that one. I'm watching it at first. I'm like, well, no, we don't want to do this. And by the end of it, I was like, you know what?
Yeah, maybe we will do. And just so you know how seriously I took the Rumble, I deleted all my social media. I hit it and I hid all my notifications because I got people texting me saying trying to spoil it for me. Nothing. I knew nothing throughout the Pens game. I was wearing my Cody shirt underneath my hoodie, and I knew nothing. And then I literally got to my apartment, went to bed, woke up the next morning, and watched it as if it was live, knowing nothing. So I didn't get spoiled, nothing like that. And how about that? And Punk and Rhodes, little mini match at the end. It's a shame to see Punk go out with the injury. There's a few other names that aren't going to be a part of Mania because of recent events. So it's trying to figure out what they're going to do here moving forward. But they could save it all with Rhodes standing tall at the end of the night.
Yeah, for sure. And we could nerd out about this for hours.
Yeah, we
so
could.
I'm not going to subject Hunter to that because I know that he also has a question that you guys are going to nerd out over. So I'm going to let him take that one now.
It's not a wrestling question to say the least, but I know you play video games, Jayden. I play them too. We have a common game, I should say. And for those who don't know, yes, I play Fortnite on my PC. I love the game so much. I used to play on my Xbox. I then got a gaming PC, and it's obviously 5 times better just because I have the refresh rate and everything else regarding it. But Jayden, my question is, when are you going to start playing build mode and not zero build mode?
So you tweeted me about this, and I was all excited. I got back-to-back ranked build dubs that night. It was I was feeling good, so I wanted to tweet about it as one does. I was a Fortnite OG, just so everyone knows. I was back in season 2, season 1, like like the early as you can get, like the as regular Fortnite as you can get. So when they brought back Fortnite OG, I was playing it again. Me and my boy Christopher, we play all the time, and it's like a good relaxing thing for me to do. But
did you get back to back zero build dubs, or was
back to back zero build ranked dubs?
Okay,
but now I'm getting into build because you called me out straight up, and like I was thinking, man, like you see all these clips online, and like no one's posting their zero build dubs. They're posting when they're cranking 90s and doing crazy cone edits, and like that's when they're posting. So that's why I feel like I got to build up to, no pun intended, but that's why I got to work up to. I have been playing a lot more build. I've been catching dubs in build. It's just like there's no way for me to edit as fast as people with a mouse and keyboard do. There's just no way. So I'm figuring it out as we go. The other day we were working on wall edits and in practice, trying to get it right. We want to be Fortnite legends. I think that's that. Then at the end of the day, my dream is to have my Fortnite clip play at PPG Paints Arena for the crowds all over. No, I'm kidding. But that would be funny. But like for me, it's a relaxing thing. As a kid, I used to play a ton of Call of Duty. I used to play a ton of. I'm still really good at MLB The Show. I'm a big sports games guy, but now the Fortnite's that's kind of been the flavor I'm liking lately. But we got to work on these builds, man.
What he's saying is that he's going to be the next Booga Pat. And if you don't know who that is, probably he won the World Cup a few years ago, just because he's one of the best players in the world. But
it's not. I'm on my third replay of Red Dead Redemption 2, so like I'm
great.
Not that big of
That's great. I wasn't a big RPG guy, but like a role playing game guy as a kid. Like I played Far Cry, stuff like that. But like shooters were in for me. And but Red Dead, that's a great game.
That's
and all my buddies that I gamed with now have kids and everything. So like my days of playing NHL, EASHL are long gone. Yeah. So that was my gaming golden age.
You got to end this with a little bit of hockey, though, Jayden. So okay. I know the Penguins are outside of a playoff spot right now. They're trying to get back to the playoffs yet again after missing last year and having their streak coming to an end. Do you guys have any early prep going for playoff games yet, or is that not in the wheelhouse just yet, just because they're outside of the top 8 right now?
The mindset is that they're good. The mindset is like they're going to win every game out. Like that's our mindset. We can't go in thinking that they're not, because that would be not only a disservice to ourselves, but a disservice to the fans. We cannot give up on this team. This team has a ton of potential, guys. I know there's been struggles here and there, and there's conversations of trade talks and everything like that. Jake is playing out of his mind, but what are they going to do at the deadline coming in March, all that. At the end of the day, from my perspective, you can go talk to an analyst, you can go talk to someone that may be a little bit more hockey educated than me. But from my perspective, I come into the building expecting the team to be able to execute to the best of their ability. I try to execute to the best of my ability. And from a game entertainment and what we're presenting to the fans, we're ready to rock the house with energy, not only from a hockey perspective, from like, let's get the boys going and everything like that, but also just to have fun as well. So all the stuff that we have prepped moving forward, there's no eye looking towards a losing season. Like I said, this is a first class organization that expects greatness, and the fans do as well. So we make sure we give them that.
Yeah, I mean, I can only hope that you get to experience playoff hockey this year, because PPG, I think at first, Pat would probably agree with this, it was definitely not as loud as the Igloo used to be, Mellon Arena, but over the years, it definitely got a lot louder. It got closer to the Mellon Arena levels that we were used to, like when I was a kid, for example. And I hope that you're able to experience just a playoff game in there, because, we came close to a playoff-like crowd last year, Pat. That game against Washington where Evgeny Malkin scored with a minute left, and that was to really save their season for that time. That's the closest I think I've heard to a playoff crowd in the regular season. But I think it's probably going to be 5 times that if they're able to get in the second half and play some really good hockey.
Yeah, man. And seeing the way Jayden, the way you operate and how you have the ability to get this crowd going, because Hunter and I have been to a handful of games this year, and we go as fans. We don't go as analysts. We don't sit up in press row. we get our tickets, we wear our jerseys, we cheer, we, make our jokes. But you've done a phenomenal job getting the crowd amped up. And if you were to have a playoff atmosphere and then add in your energy, man, that building is going to rock when that puck drops.
It would be pretty crazy. It would be pretty crazy. And obviously once again, I'm a very, very, very small part of it. Very, very small. I'm just a crazy guy on the microphone. I say that as humbly as I can, because at the end of the day, I'm nothing without the fans. The fans are everything. So I give all my credit to them, because I could be Mr. Crazy, I could be Mr. trying to get the crowd amped up, but they're the ones that are responding. So they want to cheer. Fans want to cheer. They pay those crazy beer prices for a reason. They want to make sure that they get going. So if I can experience that, and hopefully sooner rather than later, maybe we can be talking again in April about a crazy playoff atmosphere.
Oh yeah, they have every opportunity to do that in the second half with all the games in hand and such. They just gotta, show some more consistency, which is what Pat and I have been wanting them to do for all season so far. But Jayden, thank you so much for coming on this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. We really appreciate it. And for those that don't follow you on social media, just where can they find you?
You guys could find me at Jayden Becker TV on Instagram and Twitter. And you can also find me at PPG Paints Arena. If you're making sure you make your way over to the games, the Pittsburgh Penguins have a great plan going on, our mix and match plan. You go to pittsburghpenguins.com/mini plans. You get to mix and match 5 tickets throughout the rest of the season. There's a ton of great games to choose from. So make sure you're saying what's up to me when we link up at PPG.
That's awesome, man. Again, thank you so much for coming on. Pat and I both really appreciate it. And we'll be back with another episode for you all on Thursday. And Pat, is there another guest coming on for that show?
We do. And this is the little tease I'll give you for everybody is, if you have followed my work for a while, it's going to be a nice little reunion episode. So stay tuned for that.
Maybe I'll give another hint that it's someone from the Dying Alive podcast. It's one of the two, one of the other two. So you'll have that to look forward to on Thursday. But again, thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We'll be back on Thursday.